everyone, my name is Clayton Bacorny from the Wildcat Welcome Board of Directors.
And I'm Rebecca, a resident assistant or RA here on campus.
And on this episode of Northwestern Hype Series, we're going to be talking a little bit about living on campus, specifically what you should and maybe shouldn't bring before you move in this fall.
Yeah, so moving in is definitely very confusing. There's a lot to think about. I think a good place to start is the list on the Res Services website. If you pack everything on there, you'll be mostly good to go. There are some other things you might want to bring, but we'll get into that later. And I think it's also really good to start noticing what you use every day at home, because if you don't use it there, you probably won't use it here.
Awesome. Definitely, and when I moved in, it can be a little scary at first because you're just in this empty room and there's nothing on the walls. There's just a bed and a desk, and you have just all this stuff. But you definitely get it sorted out really quickly. I really honestly loved my first day moving in. It was a ton of fun. I met a lot of people, and you also pick up things throughout the school year too. They'll put on the wall, wear all kinds of cool clothes, stuff like that.
Yeah, so my move-in experience was during COVID, so it was a little bit different. I only had 30 minutes to move in, so I basically just brought my suitcases upstairs and spent the afternoon unpacking. And after that, I was able to go to Target and pick up things that I had forgotten at home, like detergent and utensils.
Yeah, another important thing to consider, I think, on move-in day is communicating a little bit with your roommate before. So I had a random roommate, but I connected with him over social media. We were able to talk a little bit. He was also coming from Georgia, so he had a flight instead of just driving up. So I brought a few things that I could bring driving in a car.
It's also important to coordinate with your roommate so that you don't bring multiples of things like TVs and mini fridges. And on top of that, it's important to be considerate about living differences. So if you're bringing an air freshener, for example, don't bring a smell that your roommate hates, because that won't be good. But as RAs, we do know that conflicts will arise, so we have some ways of dealing with that. For example, at the beginning of the quarter, you fill out a roommate agreement, and that kind of lays down some ground rules, and if anything happens, we use that as a baseline for solving conflict.
Then kind of shifting gears just a little bit, we can start talking about what you maybe should or shouldn't bring, and what I didn't expect, at least when I moved in, was that we would need a power strip or a power brick, something like this. So if you need to plug in your computer, lights or whatever you have, your phone charger, you can do it all in one place because you only have a couple outlets.
The thing that I didn't realize I would need was cleaning supplies. Your dorm definitely gets dirty a lot faster than you would think, so it's good to bring broom, some wipes, things like that. And I will say also that if you live in a dorm with carpet, you don't really need to worry about bringing a vacuum. So in Allison, for example, you can borrow vacuums to clean your room with.
One thing I didn't know that I didn't need to bring, which I think is important, is a printer. A lot of people think they might need that or bring their own paper. There's actually just printers in a lot of the different dorms, especially in the library too. It's really easy to swipe and print things. Another thing, I guess, that I didn't need to bring was a Brita water filter. Because there's usually just a water bottle filler right on every water fountain, and there's water fountains on each floor.
Yeah, it's also important to make sure that you don't bring anything that's not allowed on campus. For example, water boilers, microwaves, weapons, candles, things like that. There's a full list on the Res Services website, and if you ever have any questions about the list, you can always reach out to Res Services.
Yeah, so hopefully that gives you a better sense of what life here on campus looks like and what your move-in day could look like this fall. So from Rebecca and I, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Northwestern Hype, and go Cats.